Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold. What? How am I supposed to aim this thing now? You've got to be kidding me. What did those Jawas do to my rifle? Where did that scope go? There it is. Looks like it's time to do some repair work on this thing. Guess I'll build with what I know and figure out the rest.
That's no moon.
Clear Bay 327. We are opening the magnetic field.
Hello there, and welcome to Docking Bay 327. Today, we're going to look at how I customized, painted, and weathered a Rubie's toy Boba Fett blaster from the orange and green parts to this. Turned out pretty darn cool. I'm sure most of you have been watching the Boba Fett series and really enjoying having Star Wars content on a regular basis, new stories, but with the old feel and the old used universe. So that was my inspiration, as well as several other makers who have done something similar to that same toy. I'll put their links in the description below just because, you know, I watched them and learned a few things along the way to help with my customization. So let's get into it. My wife got me this toy blaster for Christmas, and unfortunately it was delivered with the stock broken off. Now, she kept it and gave it to me anyway, knowing that I would probably want to do some work to it and that I could fix it myself. Then while I was working on another build, I accidentally knocked it off a table in my workshop and the scope snapped off. Not the most sturdy toy, but it actually sparked an idea for me. You see, I had this other scope from one of my dad's old pellet rifles, and when I dug it out of storage, I noticed the style was almost identical to the toy version. I love it when things come together like that. We'll come back to the scope a little later. The first thing I needed to do was reattach the stock. I decided to go with one of my favorites, pocket hole screws. I always prefer a mechanical connection when possible over just glue. The stock has some pretty cool greeblies, and two of them had Phillips screws, which of course I replaced with, yep, you guessed it, more pocket hole screws. I then used my Dremel tool to hollow out the front of the barrel. I also cut one end off the toy scope to make the new scope match up with the original a little better. The toy was literally coming apart at the seams in several places, so I added some CA glue and clamped it back together. I also used the Dremel to grind away some of the original scope mounts so that the replacement could be securely mounted. Once all the glue dried, I sanded down the seams. I used some leftover Bondo filler I had from my Han and Carbonite build to fill in the other screw holes in the barrel, which incidentally didn't actually have any screws in them. I think this one might have been built on a Friday. Once the Bondo cured, I lightly sanded the spots down. Then it was ready for a coat of primer. I used an old wire clothes hanger to hang it up for painting and used a piece of cardboard to keep the overspray at a minimum. Then I sprayed a coat of matte black over the whole thing and let it dry. I was so anxious to get on with the project that I sprayed a little heavier in places, which left a few drip marks. Once it had mostly dried, I sanded the drip marks down and hit it with another coat. Of course, this ended up taking longer than if I had just taken a little extra time at the beginning. Sometimes I'm just impatient. Next, I taped off the middle section so I could lay the base coat for the faux wooden handle and then cover the barrel with a silver metallic. This is me being impatient again, trying to speed up the drying time with my heat gun. It worked okay, but later I found an actual hairdryer does a way better job. Also, because I got in a hurry when masking it, I totally missed the 2 greeblies on the backside of the stock. You know, this was a pretty simple project and only took a couple of days to complete, so I don't know why I kept getting so anxious. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Once all the paint finally dried, it was time for weathering, or what I like to call dirting it up. I covered the whole thing with a wash of water mixable oil black and some burnt sienna acrylic paint. For the wooden stock, I dry brushed a layer of burnt sienna to start with. Then I added a couple more layers of this yellow ochre, which gave me that wood grain look. And I found that while I dry brushed, the more I allowed the brush to move around and not just in straight lines, that it actually mimicked real wood grain much better. Those greeblies that I forgot to mask off needed to be repainted black, which took a bit of extra time. After each pass, I used a hairdryer, which really allowed me to keep working without waiting for the paint to dry. Next, I used this acrylic silver to highlight the middle of the gun in certain places, and then used one of my makeup brushes to give it more of a scratched metal look. I then went back with another layer of burnt umber to add some rusted looking spots. And finally, I used another makeup brush with some black acrylic to tone down the silver barrel and add some scorch marks. And here is the final result. So there you go. A customized toy that now looks more like an actual movie prop. Although mine probably looks more like I just pulled it out of the Sarlacc pit with all the extra rust and everything, but I like it. And it's got the custom scope that I can see and actually look through. Oh, man. Great. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And click that bell so you'll be alerted when I post new content. Got a lot of great stuff coming. And it looks like I've got some repair work to do here in Docking Bay 327. So until next time, build with what you know and figure out the rest. Oh, man! Hey, 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 hey.